welcome to another episode of Grassroots Racer. This week I speak to a very experienced driver in his category of racing. So I can't really say he's at grassroots level, but he sure can give us a lot of info about grassroots races and his career coming and growing up. For anyone out there who follows drag racing, this guy is super quick. He had an awesome weekend in the top fuel at Heathcote, and he is flying. Next, he'll be heading up to Darwin for the Triple Crown. And last time I saw him, we were at R&J Batteries, and I followed him around till he spoke to me. So I'm really excited to speak to him again and to find out more about his racing. It's a big welcome to Phil Lamattina. How are you tonight?
I'm going all right, Ayrton. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing well. And I know you're a really busy person, so I really do appreciate you speaking to me tonight. Drag racing is such an exciting category of motorsport, and the fans just love it. What got you involved, and how did you start out?
Ooh, yeah, that's a really good question. We sort of started out with basically a street car, an XW Falcon GT, and we just we purchased that. Oh, geez, a long time ago, well and truly before you were born. But and we just we got introduced to a bloke by the name of Darren Morgan up in Mildura, and they were building a 8th mile strip in Mildura, and we sort of got involved with that, and then we started racing the GT, and then from there we bought a sedan, like a Capri, a blown Capri, which we ran in Supercharged Outlaws. My younger brother drove that. And that's pretty much how we got the introduction to drag racing. Then we one time we took it up to Willowbank Raceway, and we raced the Capri, and that was when we first got introduced to top fuel dragsters, and we thought they were just the coolest things on earth. So we done a deal, and we bought one out of the US. So that's how it all sort of got started.
Yeah, that's really cool. Do you have a favorite car that you have competed in?
Ooh, well, for me, I was sort of really lucky enough that I went from competing in a street car, which was the XW, and then I went straight into the fuel car. So I skipped a lot of categories on the way to where I ended up. So I was, I suppose, nervous at the same time as excited about jumping in a fuel car. I didn't know if I was, going to be able to do it or not, but I seemed to take it, like a duck to water, and I haven't looked back since. So it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, it must be amazing to drive a top fuel car, because they can get to speeds like over 400 kilometers an hour, and these days I think it could potentially get to 500.
Yeah, so a top fuel dragster can accelerate from pretty much 0 to 500 kilometers an hour in about 3.7, 3.8 seconds. So in 1,000-foot racing, so 300. So that's the fastest accelerating vehicles on the planet. So yeah.
Yeah, it must be really cool. And how do you practice your reaction time? Because it must be hard getting the timing just right.
Yeah, look, a lot of drag racers have different techniques in the way they sort of try and hone their skills in on their reaction times. I seem to be able to just have this bit of a knack where I've been fortunate enough to be able to do it long enough that I try not to. I know this sounds absolutely crazy, right? But for me personally, I try not to think about it. Because I've found that the more I actually think about it and the more I sort of worry about it, the more I end up mucking up, and my reaction times actually become worse rather than better. So I try and my technique or my way of tackling drag reaction times for me is try not to think about it too much. Keep yourself fairly focused, and I know this sounds crazy, but like clear your mind. And what happens is just trust your own instincts and trust your own ability. And normally it comes sort of fairly freely.
Yeah, I noticed taking off the line in the Formula V, it can be a lot of pressure when they lean out the side of the flag post and put 5 seconds, and then the red lights come on, and it's really hard to get off the line.
Yeah, because what happens is you start focusing on all the anticipation about the upcoming start, and then what happens is you cloud your mind so much of don't muck up, get it right, make sure you take off, and the more you think about it, the worse I think you end up doing it. That's my opinion anyway. I could be wrong, but that's what I found with myself. The more I think about it, the worse I get.
Yeah, well, it sounds like a good way to go about it. You have achieved a lot over the years. What would you say is your most memorable win?
Ooh. I think the most memorable win I would say so far, because I've gone through so much, I suppose, with everything. There was probably a lot of highlights in my early career, the championship and all that sort of thing, and winning the Winter Nationals. But for me, probably where I am at this stage in my career, my win in Mildura only a couple of months ago. That was my first win since getting back in the car after the second accident, and that for me was and to win in front of my home crowd, like literally my hometown. That there to me is still very special. So I would say, I know it's only just fresh, and you say, oh well, it's only a lot, but for me, yeah, I would say Mildura would have to be my greatest win so far in my career.
Yeah, I know you had a pretty terrible accident. Is that the one at Willowbank in 2015 where your car snapped in half?
Yeah, I've actually had 2 accidents at Willowbank. I had one in 2007 and one in 2015, but the one in 2015 pretty much sidelined me. I broke my back, or shattered my vertebra. I was in hospital for basically 21 days, and then there was a good 6 months recovery, and then I sort of that sort of slowed me up a fair bit and got me thinking about different stuff. But we got back into it, and we had Kelly Betts driving the car for a bit, and then the itch just needed scratching, and jumped back in the car, and at the moment I'm sort of still flying, so it's pretty good.
Well, I'm still trying to find that racing tick that bit me somewhere. I've just got a love for racing, and after my Winton accident, it can definitely play with your mind. But the quicker you get back on the horse, the better off you are. So that's
I found. Well, yeah, you're right. It's been interesting. Like when I had my first accident, that was like, because I probably didn't get injured so badly. You're probably thinking, like, you're probably feeling the same as me. Like, I'm not going to let this car beat me. I'm gonna jump back in it. I'm going to show it that I'm not scared of the car. I'm going to show you who's the boss. And there's so much, for you probably at your age too, you've got a lot of, like, I felt that I had a fair bit of unfinished business. So that drive just makes you want to, get back in the car and prove. Mainly, you don't have to prove it to anybody, basically, other than yourself. That's what that's what I'm proud. Just more that personal satisfaction of being able to get the job done.
Yeah, and one thing I proved to myself over at Phillip Island, because after the Winton accident, I had a little bit of doubt if I'd be the same as I was before, because I had a crash at 120, and that's the quickest I've ever hit something. So it shook me up. And when I was at Phillip Island after practice 1, I was like, I've still got it. So I was happy with myself. And then obviously I pushed forward during the weekend. And
did you find that the support from families and friends is important, isn't it?
Lots of people, commented on Facebook and come up to me and made sure I was okay. And lots of people have helped us try and get the car back together. I'm still a little bit away, but I was lucky to use the car at Phillip Island that wasn't mine. And I guess I did successful for what the machinery is, because it's like a 1200cc based car, and they put the 1600, which is the main class, in it. So it's a bit of an older car, so it's a bit hard to keep up the front, but I managed to just keep off the front, sort of like the top 10. So I was pretty happy with that. But back to you. You've raced all over Australia. You said Mildura is your most memorable win. Is that your favourite place to compete at?
No, I wouldn't say my favourite place. No, I'd say that Mildura, because it was just pretty much a one-off thing that we won it, and that was quite memorable. I'd say my favourite, I would have to say my favourite place to race would be Perth Motorplex. And a very, very, very close second is, even though I've had, all them accidents at Willowbank, I would say my second favourite track is Willowbank Raceway, but probably Perth Motorplex. The facility is world class, and it's a great facility, and I love going there. But so Perth Motorplex and probably Willowbank Raceway, I reckon. I think they'd be my two favourite.
Yeah, and have you ever been overseas before, or are you just Australian?
I haven't competed overseas. I've been to America and been to a lot of NHRA races, and I know a lot of people in the drag racing scene over there. I would hope to say that maybe one day before I completely retire, or retire maybe here in Australia driving full time, I'd love to go over to America and just have a couple of race meetings over there, just to say I've done it, because I'd say that would be a pretty cool thing to tick off the bucket list.
Although I don't think you'd retire if you went to America and you won straight away.
Well, you never know, but like with the schedule, your racing schedule here, and what you have to sort of do with family and work and all that sort of thing, it's a big commitment. So I would have to say that I'd have to wait just a little bit longer to go over there. But if I did, I'm pretty sure I would enjoy it. And I think, But anyway, that's a different story. But I would love to go over to America and compete in a couple of rounds over there. Yeah,
100%. I think it'd be awesome to see you over there, and you'd bring me with me. You'd bring me with you, obviously. So I could help. Be a mechanic on the car. But is there anyone that you looked up to in drag racing, or did you mentor anyone along the way?
I think I wouldn't say that I looked up to. I'd say I looked up to anyone in drag racing. I would say that for me personally, I have a lot of respect for my fellow competitors that race and in Top Fuel. I always felt that they were probably the ones that actually pushed me the hardest in the category, to be able to try and be better all the time, and to compete against, like the likes of, we had some pretty good, we've still got really strong rivalry with Phil Reid. I've done a lot of racing against him over the years, and we're still racing against each other at the moment. So I would say my fellow competitors have been the ones that have pushed me the hardest, and I would say that I would actually look up to, because Phil Reid, he's won multiple championships, and to be able to see how they actually do that and try and beat them is very rewarding. So I would say that that's who I look up to.
Yeah, obviously your competitors, they push you every weekend to get back in the car, and obviously push you to beat them. And obviously over the years, we've all had our rivals. But, just quickly, racing can be dangerous from time to time, as we all know. And we were talking about Willowbank before, your crashes in 2007 and 2015. Did something happen with the car that caused the crash? Because even though they're split in half, can it be a driver's error sometimes, or was something not tightened up properly?
Yeah, okay. So the first accident that I had up there, we were probably just a little bit inexperienced in drag racing, and we probably let we probably didn't check the chassis as much as we should have, and that sort of come and sort of bit us on the bum. And that was the first accident. We had a bit of a crack in the chassis that we hadn't realised, and it let go at the finish line, or just before the finish line. The 2015 accident was that was actually a brand new car, because ever since that first accident, we were always a little bit probably over paranoid about replacing our chassis. And what happened was, with that car there, it was basically manufactured with a few pieces missing for a little bit more flexibility and trying to get the car to hook up and go faster. And that car there was only on I think it was about its 4th or 5th full powered pass. And so that was manufacturing and chassis design error. Really, at the end of the day, no, it hasn't been any driver error, I would have to say. Thank you. But look, yes, motorsport is dangerous. You can get yourself in a fair amount of strife very, very, very quickly if you stay on the gas just that little bit too long. I don't have to tell you. You come out of corners and all that sort of thing, and if you lay the power on a little bit, next minute you're spun around and you spear yourself in the wall. In drag racing, we're talking about something similar, but milliseconds can be disastrous. So when I find that when a car or when a fuel car goes down the racetrack and everything is on point and there's no issues and no problems, they're the easiest ones to drive. They just pretty much drive straight, do your job, take off, keep it in the groove, pull the parachutes, pull it up. That's it. What happens, you can get yourself into some strife, is when, they spin the tyres, overpower the racetrack and all that sort of thing. Don't get the car to settle before you get back on it. Next minute, the thing's facing the wall and you're under power and you're speared it into the wall. So that's when driver error or driver skill comes into it. When it's not when everything's going right, it's when everything's going wrong. That's what that sorts out the men from the boys.
Really?
Well, the silly part about it is, even on both of my accidents, if you have a look at them, I actually pretty much didn't even get a scratch. You know what I mean? So my first accident, I cut my finger a little bit. I think I was just hanging onto the steering wheel that tight, and it's a bit of a weird type of setup. But itself, the actual accident itself didn't even put a scratch on me. Didn't even, not even a broken, not even a broken leg or a broken arm or a broken ankle or anything silly like that. I'm basically flying through the air at 500 kilometers an hour and hitting the ground, and I really didn't get a scratch on me. It was just the force of the impact that shattered my vertebra. Other than that, if you had a look at me, there was not even you would not even have known.
Lamattina Racing is a really professional team with a great crew, obviously. How long has the team been running now for?
Actually, in our 19th year, and when we compete in season 2 with the Burson Auto Parts Top Fuel Championship, number 2 will be competing in our 20th year.
Yeah, that's incredible. 20 years racing. You started racing before I was even a twinkle in my dad's eye. So, in this year, 2022, you added another driver into the team, Shane Olive. That must be a big commitment, preparing 2 cars. So how's that going?
Yeah, look, Shane, he actually started working for us at the shop and preparing, like you said, preparing my race car originally, and then when this new championship come along and we had the opportunity, to look at fielding a second car, I didn't have any hesitation to to pick Shane. He's a very he's a, how do I say it? He's very quiet, quietly spoken, but very unassuming, but can handle driving a race car, and especially a drag car. He's been around it, pretty much all his life. So for me, the choice was quite easy. He's making a few mistakes, but at the end of the day, they're the mistakes that you, as a driver, you sort of need to make, because that's the way you learn. So this year for him is probably pretty much a learning year. But I would expect, and I will be expecting, and I think even Shane himself will tell you that he would be expecting to do a little bit better next season. And I think the way he's going about and the way he's doing, the way he's developing as a driver in drag racing, especially in Top Fuel, I can see. Well, he won on the weekend. We had to finish off the round from Sydney because that got delayed, and he actually had his first win. So, like I said, he's just there. It's just a few things need to click, and he'll be competing for podiums pretty much all the time now.
Yeah, and it's obviously good to see him slowly improving. And another thing is, you do have kids, so do you think they'll follow in your footsteps and, drag race like you and Top Fuelers?
Look, that's another interesting question. It's a very, we have to make a decision as a family, and we'll just see. I feel that I've still got a bit to offer. They're fairly young still. They've got a fair bit of time on their hands, so I don't think they have to rush into it. But I would like to at least see them, maybe license in a fuel car to see how that goes. But at the moment, there's no real plans for them to compete in Top Fuel at the moment.
Yeah, and obviously, like I was saying before, it is dangerous. So, you're just looking out for your kids. You've got to.
Look, as a parent and a father, them things do play on your mind. It's a tough question, but I really haven't got the answer for it right now. But I would imagine, I would imagine they do want to jump in the fuel car. They've told me quite a few times, but I'm just at this stage here. I think we'll just leave it at them helping out on the race car. Both boys, my oldest boy, he works on the thing. He bolts a cylinder head on, so they've got to still learn from the bottom and work their way up. You know what I mean? So and it's good to learn all aspects of the race car, as you can understand.
Yeah, that's fair. Like I remember when I was little, I hinted to my dad that I wanted to race, and he shut it down pretty quickly. So then I nagged him until I was old enough to get a go-kart. That's how it started for me. I can understand from a parent's point of view how it can be very scary when your kids want to race like you do, and I just don't know how my dad and mum do it. Me going out there. But the good thing
that's exactly right. So at least you've got a bit of an understanding of what what they're going through. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one because I think at the end of the day, it's not when everything's going well. That's when that's not an issue. But when things go wrong, that's when it's becomes a problem and it plays on your mind. So could they do it? I'm pretty confident they would be able to do it. I think it's just the question is when or if.
Well, on another note of people trying to get into drag racing, do you have any advice on anyone who wants to get into drag racing but are a little bit unsure?
Look, the junior dragsters is for anybody 17 and under, or from 8 years old to 17 years old. That's honestly the best possible way of getting into drag racing at a very early age, to understand the process, the concept, the competitiveness, how to sort of drag race, how to win rounds, and how to win race meetings. So if you're in that age group, I would say definitely Junior Dragster is a way of an introduction into drag racing. After that, street car. Most drag strips run street race meetings for street cars. That's probably the best way to get in order to see if you actually ever enjoy it, or you like it, or you don't. And then from there, I would then get a competition car. You know what I mean? Full chassis, either a dragster or whatever, or even a full chassis sedan. So that's my way of doing it. And then if you want to get into any sort of Group 1 categories, modified is normally a good introductory category. Sort of not really still, I would say, grassroots. There you go. So then, like in the sportsman categories, and to hone your skills right in, and then from there you could probably jump into a Group 1 car.
Yeah, but that sounds like the way to go. As you get older, you slowly journey through the different categories. But just quickly, most professional teams like Lamattina Racing still need the support from partners and sponsors. So would you like to shout out anyone of your supporters in 2022?
Yeah, so the first one that I would have to say is FUCHS. They've been with us pretty much from the start, since we started the journey. So they've been with us for 19 years too. So also too, with on Shane's car, we've got Burson Auto Parts. So that's big shout out to them guys. They've been big supporters of LTFR, and also too, I was fortunate enough to be able to get the boys from R&J Batteries to tip in a little bit from the other day. So that was pretty cool. So anybody like YBI Creative and a few other sort of sponsors. Pretty much the two big ones are FUCHS and Burson.
Yeah, well, you really do need to appreciate your sponsors and partners who obviously tip in their own time and money to support your racing. So I like to thank all of my partners. You obviously do help me a lot to keep me on track. But yeah, Phil, once again, I really do thank you for taking your time to chat with me. You are very talented in what you do in Top Fueler Racing. So I can imagine it's such an awesome category to race in, and I love to watch it every now and again. So everyone make sure you head out there and watch some drag racing in October. Heathcote's local towards us, or even Mildura. So yeah, next time you're in either of those towns, make sure you check out Lamattina Racing.
Not a problem. I really appreciate it. Thanks for your time, and we'll hopefully catch up soon.
Yeah, 100%. And remember, everyone, if you're racing this weekend, drive fast and take chances, safely, of course.